Hi, this is Nori with My Service Depot. Please note that the content you are about to view is meant as a generalization of the Smart Service job process as a whole. It is not directed at any specific industry or your company's personalized process. However, by learning the basics of Smart Service, we hope to give you a head start on using our software. This series will be divided into 3 segments to ensure the best learning experience. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please give us a call at 888-518-0818. If you are interested in purchasing additional live training, please let us know. In this segment, Brennen is going to cover the iFleet job process. We advise that you use the knowledge acquired in the previous portion of this series to schedule a test job and follow along on your device.
Hi, my name is Brennen, and I am a trainer here at My Service Depot. Today we're going to go over iFleet 4 and how to use it. To start here, we'll go ahead and open the application by tapping it from our home screen. And you'll notice when iFleet first opens that it automatically goes through a synchronization. This is to make sure that your jobs to do screen or your jobs list is up to date with the most current jobs. Now, iFleet will not sync on its own in the background. You do need to sync manually, and we'll go over when to do that during the job process. But to sync iFleet, it's as simple as either tapping the sync button in the upper left-hand corner or dragging down anywhere on the screen, like so, and then releasing it. This will cause iFleet to sync. So first things first, before we take a look at doing jobs or the job process itself, let's go ahead and go over our jobs to do screen. You'll notice we have a list of jobs to do in chronological order by date and appointment time, and we can scroll through down and up this list simply by tapping on the screen. If your device is a cellular enabled device, iPhone, iPad, tablet, etc., you will be able to see a service address to the left of the job, like so. And if you tap on this address, you'll see a little navigation pin, and if we tap on Navigate, that's going to open up Apple Maps. And from here, we'll be able to get turn-by-turn directions from our current location to our next job. And there we are with our directions. You can also optionally tap on this little directions icon in the bottom right-hand corner, and it will give you a detailed list of the actual directions. To go back to iFleet, I'm going to double-click on the home button here, at the bottom of the device, and then swipe up on the Maps application, and then tap back on iFleet to go back to the program. Next, let's take a look at what we call the iFleet dashboard. This can be accessed by tapping the menu in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. When you tap this menu icon, it's going to open up this dashboard, and this is where we can clock in and out for the day, take lunches and breaks. If we are tracking mileage for preventative maintenance purposes, we can tap to select a vehicle and enter our starting and ending mileage. Same thing with fuel purchases. Probably most important, though, most important from a day-to-day standpoint of utilizing the device are these 3 lines here: all jobs, jobs to do, and completed jobs. When you complete a job in iFleet, it's going to be moved from your jobs to do screen or list into this completed jobs bucket. So if I go ahead and tap on completed jobs, you can see I can go back into a job if I need to and add any additional notes or photos or items and so forth. To return to my jobs to do screen, I'm going to go ahead and tap on the menu icon and then tap on jobs to do. So that is the iFleet dashboard. Next, let's take a look at actually doing work in iFleet. To start with, I'm going to scroll down the screen a little bit, and I'm going to tap on the 3rd job I have here. And here you can see it is opened up the actual job itself. So just to explain the layout a little bit, now if you have an iPhone, it's going to look slightly different. The customer contact information, customer and job information, history, equipment, and assets, for example, will actually be at the top of the screen, and you would have to tap on the blue bars to expand or to minimize them. But the basic functionality is the same. On the left-hand side here, we have, again, our customer information, the customer name, primary point of contact, phone number, email address if we have one, as well as our service and billing addresses. Beneath this is the customer and job information. This is where you'll see things such as terms for this customer or this account, who the sales rep is, what kind of job type it is. Also in the customer and job information section, this is where you would see any private notes that have been typed in back in the office about this customer. Things such as a customer lives in a bad neighborhood or has a malicious dog or something like that. Need to know information, important for you to know, but not necessarily something that would ever print out on a customer document. So moving along here, you'll see we have a couple of other things we can do on the left-hand side, and one of them is My Customer Fields. If this is something that is set up in Smart Service, it's a place for you to access, custom fields that are created about this customer or this property. In this case, have a place for an access code or a gate code, the hours for this particular establishment, and so forth. If you need to, you can tap on any one of these fields. It'll bring up a keyboard and we'll be able to modify this info as well. I'm going to go ahead and hide my keypad and tap the X in the upper left corner of that window to exit it. Beneath My Customer Fields, we have history. And if you tap on history, that's going to bring up a list of previous service calls or visits to this customer. Now, these examples, I don't know that I actually have any information listed here, but typically if you tap on a service history record such as this, you'll be able to see any notes from that prior job as well as any items that were used to complete the job and or build the customer. So that is the history section. If we go back, we'll also see equipment, and this is something that is a really cool part of the program. If you have any equipment records that are back in Smart Service, so they're back in the office, they're on file in the main office program, you'll be able to open up and access these equipment records directly from within iFleet. Let's go ahead and take a look at how that would work. I'm going to tap on equipment, and that's going to open up this customer's equipment list. Now, this customer has one piece of customer-owned equipment on site. If I would like to, say, open this record and see some more information, I can do so by simply tapping on the equipment name itself. This is going to bring up the name of the equipment. We can see that right there. If we scroll down a little bit further, there also is a place for a description, a little bit more information about this, say, besides just the name of the unit itself. Its current status, in this case, this one is replaced. It's not in use. Model number, serial number, where it's located, in this case, a boiler room, the installation date, as well as the warranty expiration date, and then lastly, notes, which we will take a look at momentarily. Something else to point out is this little pin here. If you are at a larger property and a short description of where the equipment is located is just not sufficient, we can tap on this pin and it'll actually kind of geo-stamp it, so to speak, with the longitude and latitude coordinates. So those are the basic fields of an equipment record. As you can see, I just updated the location here, and of course we could do that for any of these fields. If I wanted to tap and change the status, we might want to change this from replaced to installed but not in use. Any one of these fields I can update or change as needed. Now, for existing equipment records, that's probably not something you'll be doing all that often. What you probably will be doing is entering notes about what you did on a specific date and time for a job. So if we scroll down a little bit further here, you'll see we have this notes section. If you tap anywhere in that empty notes box, it's going to bring up this equipment notes window. And if you tap anywhere in the blank equipment notes section, it's going to open up a keyboard here. Now, one thing that I definitely strongly recommend that you do is always timestamp your notes, especially when you're servicing equipment. That way, when someone else or yourself look up this equipment record later on in iFleet, we'll be able to see a trail, timestamped by date and user, of what was done to service, repair, etc. this equipment, and what date and time that was. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on the timestamp button. You can see it's added my timestamp, and I'm going to go ahead and type in some notes here. We'll keep that short and sweet, and then to save my notes, I'm going to tap the Done button in the upper right corner. Then equipment item to go back to the equipment record, and then equipment list to go back to my equipment list, and then lastly, the X button to exit the equipment list. Now that's great for existing equipment records, but let's say that we need to add a new record because we're on the premises of a customer's location and they do have equipment. We would like to have a record of it, but it's not on file. It's not here in iFleet. We can add that equipment directly in iFleet. To do so, tap the equipment button again. That's going to bring up our equipment list. And this time, tap the plus symbol in the upper right corner of the screen. And you're going to see this blank new equipment record or equipment item record. Now, something you will notice when you go to add equipment in iFleet is that if you touch or tap the far right side of this empty item box, it's actually going to bring up the QuickBooks item list for your company. Now, if you sell equipment or parts and so forth to customers, then keep track of them over time, this may be a great resource because you can simply tap at that arrow, bring up our item selection list, scroll or search through it, and then tap the item you need to add. Saves a lot of time. Now, a lot of times that is not the scenario. That's not the case. Our equipment list is simply not in QuickBooks, so there's no reason to tap to select it. If that's the instance, then back on our equipment item screen, we can simply tap on the left beneath the item box to put in the name of our equipment unit. And I'll go ahead and let's say just type in water heater. If I wanted to, I could enter a brief description, perhaps about the make of this unit. If I go down a little bit further, I'll certainly want to tap on item status and put its current status in. I'll select that this one is installed. We have our model and serial number, of course, and I don't have a barcode to scan, so I'm just going to go ahead and manually type something in. And I'll do the same thing for my serial number. And then under location, we'll say that this is located in the basement for this customer. If we scroll down a little bit further, not all of these fields, none of these fields are really required, aside from the name of the equipment item itself. So let's say I don't exactly know the installation dates. We're just, creating a new record, but I do see the warranty expiration date. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on warranty expiration date. It's going to bring up this little window where I can scroll through the year and month and day and so forth, and then tap save in the bottom right corner of the screen. And now I've got my expiration date. If I wanted to, just like before, I can add some notes by tapping in the notes section. I've already gone over how to do that, so for the time being, I'm going to skip notes and go back to the equipment list. To do that, I'll tap equipment list in the upper left corner, and now you can see this water heater item that I've added it's now part of this equipment list. This is going to be sent back to Smart Service, and it's going to be saved on file. The next time we go in to do work for this customer in iFleet, we'll be able to see this new equipment record. So that's equipment in iFleet. I'm going to go ahead and tap the X to go back to the job itself. And over on the right-hand side of the screen, where we have appointment time and job notes and items and so forth, this is where we do the work. This is where we do the work for the job itself. Appointment time in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see this is where, obviously, we have the scheduled time for this job, but it's also where we can put in our current status. So if we are, for instance, tracking travel times or entering those as well as production times, we can tap on current status, and it's going to present us with this little window here. So for instance, we may want to tap start traveling to jobs so we can send that information back to the office. When we get to the job site, of course, we probably want to tap on arrived at job and then likely begin job. You see, every time it does that, it does a little sync, which sends that timestamp back to Smart Service, back to the office, so that those times can be recorded. Directly beneath our status for job times, we have the job notes. And this job, you can see the instructions are to bill for servicing existing equipment. If I'd like to add to these notes, I can do so by tapping on the little pencil icon over to the right. This is going to bring up this job notes window. We'll see these are the existing notes. And to add new notes, I'll tap on this add new notes icon in the bottom right corner, and then anywhere within this gray notes box. This is going to bring up the keyboard. Again, just as a general rule of thumb, it certainly doesn't hurt to get in the habit of timestamping notes, especially for multi-day jobs. It's good to have a history of what was done when, just like with equipment. Now, we can use the keyboard and keypad. That's what I've been doing so far throughout this training. But I do want to point out that we do not have to. If you would like, you can use talk to text to speak directly into iFleet. To do so, I'm going to tap on the microphone icon at the bottom of the screen and simply start speaking into the device. Serviced equipment per warranty terms. And you'll see I was able to add those notes really, really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and just end the sentence here and then tap done to save my note, and then X to go back to the job. So now I've added my notes. I can also go ahead and add some job items. So in this case, I'm going to tap on the little plus symbol icon. This is going to bring up a blank job item window since I don't have any items listed for this job. Now to add an item to the job, simply tap on the item box. We actually saw this already when we were looking at creating the new equipment record. This time we're actually going to add the item, however. So I've gone ahead and tapped on the item box. It's brought up this item selection window. I can scroll through this, search the list, look for whatever I need to. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and let's say just choose a generic item. I'll say installation. There is a place, if we need to, where we can change the description for what we did here, which can be useful if it's kind of a more generic item such as materials. We may want to put something a little bit more specific in the description section. If you scroll down a little bit further, we can also update the quantity, change the rate, or the amount. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and tap on the amount, and we'll change this from, say, $50 to $75. I'll tap done, and then to go back to my item screen, I'm going to tap on the X. And Now you'll see we have this item listed here in the job. This is something that we will be billing for. If for whatever reason we do need to remove an item, very easily done. Simply tap on the item name. It's going to reopen this job item window, and then we can tap the delete button in the bottom left corner. I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to tap the X to go back to the job. So next, beneath job items, we have forms. If you are using custom forms within the program, that is something that iFleet supports. You can access those forms from directly within this job. I actually happen to have several forms listed here, so I'm going to tap on the plus symbol. There is my list of forms, and I guess I'll go ahead and tap on this HVAC checklist. So this is going to bring up this fillable PDF for me. Most of it is already pre-populated with information we have on file. You'll see some of the equipment info, incidentally, has come over. And if we need to, we can pinch to zoom in the screen, tap the various items that we checked or serviced, and I'll go ahead and pinch to zoom out again. If the form does require a signature, you'll notice there is support for a signature field, which I'll go ahead and tap. Customer can sign directly on the screen. We'll tap save, and then done in the upper right-hand corner to save this form to the job. So now I have my form saved to the job. You'll see directly beneath the form my job fields. Now you may be utilizing this, you may not, but my job fields are a great way within Smart Service and of course iFleet to track customer information on a job-to-job basis. So I have a couple here. I happen not to have these filled out, but if I wanted to, for example, indicate to the office that we weren't able to complete the job for the day, I may want to tap on one of these job fields and enter some information such as, so let's tap the pencil icon and I'll tap in return visit required. I'll go ahead and enter yes, and then a reason. And then done to save my note here in the job field, and then X to go back to the job. So scrolling down a little further on the screen, we'll see we have a photo section, and I happen to be in a recording studio, so I don't really have anything fancy to take a photograph of, but we'll go ahead and at least see how taking photos with iFleet works. I'm going to tap on the pencil icon. Currently, there's no photos associated with this job or tagged to it, so the screen here is empty. But if I want to take a new photo, I can tap on the camera icon in the upper right corner. It's going to give me the option to either take a photo directly from iFleet itself, or if I already have a photo that I've taken from my camera, I can choose from a library. I'm going to go ahead and just tap take photo, and this is going to bring up the camera. You'll see the entire screen becomes one big camera. I'm going to tap the green button to take my photo. And I'm going to go ahead and then tap actually right above it. You'll see this little bar here, just to put in a brief description of what this picture is all about. Looks pretty good. So to save this photo to the job, I'm going to go ahead and tap the X button in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see now the photo is saved. And if we scroll down a little further, you'll see mine has a section for view Dropbox files. There's also, you may notice, a section over here for assets. I'm not going to cover this today. There's a lot of great information on those two subjects on our online manual. I encourage you to take a look at it. But actually, at this point, let's go ahead and finalize this job, or close it out, or complete it. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and tap on the Finalize Job button. This is where the terms and conditions are going to come up on the screen. A customer would, of course, tap that they agree to those terms and conditions. Here we'll be able to see a job summary of all of the items on our list, what we're billing for, the total amount, if there's any taxes. There is this option where send work order to, where if there's already an email on file, you'll see that email listed here. Idea being that if a customer sees that email and doesn't want it sent to, say, that specific address, they may want to type in something else. I'm going to go ahead and sign on the screen and tap I agree. If I have used any forms, I will be given the option to attach those. In this case, I'm not going to, so I'll just simply tap done. And this will give us our last screen where we're going to be given the option to, as you'll see, email, print, open in, or do nothing. The middle two options, print or open in, you likely will not use. Print would be if you had some kind of portable AirPrint compatible printer. Open in would be to open in a third party application. For the most part, you'll be choosing either email or do nothing. Do nothing if a customer, say, declines a copy of the work order. I'm going to go ahead and tap in email. That's going to bring up this new email with the work order there as an attachment. And I'll go ahead and start entering an address here. And then I'll tap the send button. So we'll see it's done. We're going to do one last sync after sending the email. If I scroll up to the top, you'll see that the current status has changed from job began to job complete. And this work is completed, so it's time to go back to the main jobs to do screen, which I'll do by tapping back in the upper left corner. And now I need to resync the device to make sure it's up to date. There aren't any new jobs that need to be done or jobs that may have been removed for whatever reason. So once again, I'm going to just pull down on the screen and resync. Now, because I have photos on the device, iFleet is going to give me this little prompt. It's basically asking me, do I want to transfer my photos back to the office, back to Smart Service? Now, if you don't have, say, a good data connection, you don't have, say, good Wi-Fi or cellular activity, you probably would want to tap no, do not transfer these photos and say wait till the end of the day, or when you're somewhere you have a more reliable signal. The reason being is because in iFleet you can take up to 25 pictures per job, and that's a lot. So if you start transferring those during the middle of the day, and that can take a little bit of time to sync, so you may not always want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just tap yes, transfer photos. You'll say it's sending image 1 of 1. And there we go. So we've completed the job. We sent back a photo to the office along with our equipment record and all the work that we've done, notes, items, etc. Emailed a work order to the customer and resynced to refresh our jobs to do screen. So that is iFleet. So thank you all for being a part of this training today. It certainly was a pleasure to go over this application with you. And if you do have any questions, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks, and have a great day.